Welcome everyone to another intriguing episode on JioEvents Studio. I'm your host Anukth, and today we have the privilege of diving deep into the world of geopolitics, history, politics, and current affairs with an incredible person, Niharika Choudhary. She is there on Instagram, and you can follow her on Instagram for her daily doses of insights. Niharika's journey is not just a personal one, it's a narrative woven with the threads of curiosity, passion, and an unyielding commitment to understand the intricacies that shape our world. Today, we unravel the layers of her expertise and dwell into the stories and perspectives that fuel her influence in this ever evolving landscape of geopolitics. Niharika, thank you so much for joining us today and welcome to our episode.
Thank you so much. That was such a warm welcome, and thanks to you for inviting me here. I'm very, very excited for our conversation today.
Superb, superb. I'm so happy you're here with us. And this is like one of my most favorite subjects, geopolitics, current
Okay.
affairs. It keeps you like it gives the daily dose of entertainment. And we are in a
I
very good month of elections as well. So yeah, it's giving us good entertainment this month. But yeah, so Niharika, to talk about your journey. So I wanted to start with your journey and like how did you get started into this realm of geopolitics and the current affairs and the things that you're dealing with on your social media platforms, the information that you spread out to this enormous people that follow you, and what inspired you to actually become an influencer in this field? And I have seen somewhere that you have told that you love educating yourself. So, what is the whole story behind you getting into this side of influencing?
I think being an influencer was obviously not a part of the plan always. I mean, it never is. I did not, have this sort of childhood dream ki influencer hi banungi. But this sort of, that interest in geopolitics history, it's been there bachpan se hi. And
Hmm.
I used to really love this entire thing written on the board. Knowledge is power. So when I used to educate myself, I felt very powerful. Okay, like I'm getting to
Hmm.
know my surroundings. That means I'm getting to know more about myself and
Yeah.
what makes me a good Indian, or what makes a good country, or what makes a good government, or what makes a good public policy. So everything that would educate myself, and everything that I would do to educate myself, it just used to make me feel more powerful, and would make me think that I can create an impact on the society and leave my footprint that way. But I mean, this was there always. And then my father is also a reformer, and he's also a social activist.
Okay.
So we would have that sort of dinner table conversations. And I think it's very important when you have those conversations at home, that interest already sparks. So वो चीज
Hmm.
मेरे साथ हुई कि that was there. Then my father introduced Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam to me, and then I
Oh,
was so inspired by his ideas. And
okay.
that's why I also post a lot about him. And then people ask me, are you
Right.
obsessed? I was like, yes, I am. I totally am. Because you should appreciate how somebody left just so many ideas into the system, but then those have never been picked. Those are in the archives, and nobody actually thinks the kind of vision that Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam had. So all of these things combined, and I used to love public speaking also. So everything consolidated into one, and that's when I thought, okay, it's very important to put this all together and see where my passion leads me to. And that's when I thought about creating videos, and that's when it initially started. One thing people again ask me is why polity, because polity is one of those least interesting
Mhm.
subjects that people don't
Yeah,
really
yeah,
interest in. But for me, it's again about, let's say you're studying polity and you get to know about the duties of the prime minister, or you get to know about the power of the prime minister. If you don't know about it, you will never hold that person accountable for what he's doing and
he's
what he's
or
not
he's
doing.
not doing. Got it.
If you don't know your rights, or if you do not know your duties, you cannot be a good citizen. And you cannot be
Mhm.
a good citizen for your own self also,
Got
and
it.
to actually enjoy your citizenship that way. Then again, I mean, I really love this quote: the best defense of a democracy is an informed citizenry. And that's why I like to advocate for that, and also try to uphold that sort of change, and try to make videos that influence people in a way that they get to know more about their own rights, their duties, and
Mm-hmm.
the polity side of things, the geography side of things, history. That inspires me. And in fact, I'm just like every day so excited to put up a new video, because I know that each in this domain, each video is an impact that you're creating, and that
Mm-hmm.
actually motivates me to create every day. So I am absolutely loving what I am. I mean, whatever this path is, absolutely loving it.
So yeah, nice. There are two things that actually hit my mind. One is I would love to be a part of these dinner table conversations on geopolitics, because they are the source of information for a lot of people during
True,
dinner.
true.
And because probably we might be following something and our parents and our elders don't follow that thing, and we are like the source for them to, because I stay with my grandfather, and there are a lot of things that he tells me from what he's doing on a daily life, and there are a lot of things that I tell him because I am seeing the new generation side of it. So he's very interested in learning a lot of things, and he was like the former RBI. He worked in RBI and NABARD. So he also loves a lot of things when I tell him what the Gen Z are doing and
Hmm.
how they want to get ahead in life. So that's actually the most interesting part, and we learn a lot during that conversations, I feel.
Yeah, I think most people actually underestimate the power of those table conversations.
Yes,
It's
yes,
not just
yes.
books and social media you learn
Yeah.
from. I feel
Yes.
like I learn more from that 1 hour conversation, because
Hmm.
that comes from experience and not just theoretical, all sorts of
Yeah,
theories and everything you have on social media. It's very nice.
that's true.
Everybody should try that.
Yeah, and it also, I think, gives you another perspective, because how the algorithms of social media are like, if you follow something and you like something, you will see more of it.
Correct.
Uh, but that conversation that we have is not like that. Probably I would be opposing to a lot of things, they would be opposing to a lot of things that I support, and that gives you two different perspectives. And it's always nice to have both the perspectives and go ahead on a particular topic.
True. I
So
mean, this is a very interesting take, I'd say, because algorithm actually validates your own opinions, and because
exactly.
you've shown what you already follow. So
Yes.
it's not adding to your knowledge; it's just making you feel like what you think or what you feel is absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's not broadening your horizon in any way, which dinner table conversations definitely do,
Will
because
do.
there's a lot of perspectives coming, and everybody is there to have that sort of fierce debate.
Yes.
So very interesting take. I am so happy I had this conversation.
No,
I think
I do prefer like following people that I don't would support or anything, just to get their take on this topic. I know like criticism is first that they would give on anything that happens, but if there is something interesting that they do and they have a take on it, it just betters my feed in a way that I can take my decisions more firmly, because I know both the sides now. So that's one amazing thing. The other thing that we spoke just right now is about polity. I don't know, but I think a lot of people don't know the word polity. Um, when we just had a confirmation on you coming for our show, and named this episode like that, we are navigating through geopolitics, history, polity, and current affairs. A lot of them, my designers, are, what is polity, or is it politics that you were typing and it became polity? So do you want to tell us something about that word? I know I can give you the definition, but I want you to tell me more from your side, and to the audience who is listening, because I'm sure that nobody knows a lot about polity.
what did they think it is?
They just randomly thought it's a wrong word, because they thought I kept it as politics, and it was like I mistyped politics for polity.
Okay. Okay, for me, polity is the way we are being governed and the way government runs. And not
Yes.
just limited to that, then I'm so happy that polity has it has entered this realm of legal studies also. So
Hmm.
it's not just that. Now, why it's aside from politics is because politics is very practical. So it's like a skill in art. It's become
Hmm. Hmm.
politics. I think sometimes it's also called a science. Politics is a
Hmm. Hmm.
science, but polity is everything about the way government runs, the way public policy works, the way legal studies work, the way laws are being framed. So everything to do with how a state runs, a nation runs.
Mhm.
That is polity, and I think very important. Again, it's important to know how your state is being run, because that's again, the best defense of a democracy. So if you want to keep that alive, it's very good to be informed.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So nice. So, I coming to the other part. Your page on Instagram, it's like a treasure trove of information. So, how do you curate all these content pieces? Because they don't just inform, but your audience is also engaging with the videos that you are creating. And it
Correct.
sometimes is that you pick up something which is more complicated and it's overwhelming also. But to break that complicated, complex subjects to somebody on Instagram who has a attention span of 10 to 20 seconds, which is the attention span that is currently across the world. So, like, how do you dive between those two things? How do you edit your videos? And how do you think that this is the right way of approaching this topic?
I think what I do is, so when I used to study for my board exams, I remember sitting in a room alone and I would read the chapter and then imagine and assume that there's a class sitting in front of me, which includes myself sitting there. And I'm explaining to one person, like right in front of me, and I would keep the book aside and simplify the entire chapter to myself. So that would make me feel like now I know everything, because if I'm able to teach some concept to somebody, that means I'm very good with that concept and I've understood it properly. So I
Mhm.
would do that always. And I think my entire board exams, especially class 12, I did this entire practice and it really helped me. I scored fairly well. So this thing I do with the my entire, like if I script something, I try to make myself understand. Like I was scripting this reel about why Nepal has so many earthquakes. So I'm not very
Mhm.
good with geography, but I
Mhm.
really like geography and I want to be good at it. So I think
Mhm.
it took me 2 days to grasp the entire concept, and
The
then a
not,
minute
yeah,
for me to explain to myself, assuming I'm
got
sitting
it.
in front of myself, and then I used to explain. So it's very similar on social media also. No, you don't know who's
Mhm.
listening to you, but
Listening to
then
you,
just imagine that there's one person
person
standing in
there.
right in front of you. आपको उसको समझाना है, as
Mhm.
simple as you can. So that's what I do, and it works. It works very well. The more simple it is, the more understandable it gets for people.
Got it. That's a
So
very interesting take. I've never heard somebody tell me how they shoot these videos like this, but that's really nice because you never know what's the size of the audience who are listening to your videos. So
or
just
it takes a
imagine
lot
it's
of
just
time.
one.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you're not. So I think a lot of people assume that you're making a content piece, and you assume
Mhm.
there's going to be thousands of people listening to you. But when you imagine कि एक इंसान है सामने, you put in more effort and you simplify it even more. Or
Even more.
you cannot assume that somebody already knows something about the topic.
Something about
So
it. Got
I
it.
think there's this thing no on Reddit, explain it like I'm five. So
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
what I
that's the
do.
same
And
concept. That's nice.
that's what I do.
That's nice. So, geopolitics is like, a subject that is ever evolving. It's not like a constant thing. We have some or the other updates that are
Yeah.
happening every day. So, how do you stay updated to the latest developments? And what would you say? Like, yeah, Instagram does help us get a lot of these information, but it's also, I would say, a bias sort of an information that comes to us because, as I told you, the algorithm, it shows you what you like. So,
Yeah.
to be informed in this fast-paced world, what are the ways that you could tell our listeners to stay updated on geopolitics?
I tell my followers also this many times, like anybody who messages me and asks me ki, any guidance. So I tell them this one thing only ki what I do is, number one, I agree कि geopolitics itna it's ever evolving, so it's very hard to keep track of this entire information and then to stay updated that way. But there's this thing, no, my parents always tell me kan kan se shiksha lo. So knowledge is everywhere, but you should know where you're taking it from.
Take it
That's also
from.
important, right? So what I follow is I read the newspaper every day. Again, I don't know
Okay.
why the trend is not there अब और वो नीचे नीचे जा रहा है,
Hmm.
but newspaper is such an amazing resource. We think कि media news is great and then it gives you in shots you download and it's all good apps. I
Hmm.
absolutely love them. But I'm just saying when you read the newspaper, it takes me around 1.5 hours to read the entire newspaper. You feel like it's a novel, like a series of events you're going through. You're
Hmm.
going to Sikkim to see what's happening there. You're going to Uttarakhand, you're seeing the tunnel collapse there. So it
Hmm.
gives you
Hmm.
an insight into what is happening around you, makes you more conscious also, makes you more considerate. Sometimes makes you feel proud when you hear about India fighting for the FIFA qualifiers, doing so well,
Hmm.
the cricket team doing so well. You hear about politics, you hear the government is not doing anything. You hear about various things, you hear about economy, whether it's growing, it's not growing. So it's like a series of events, it's like an entire
Hmm.
trip, 1.5 hours long. It's not a big deal, but then you understand and read so much. Again, makes you feel very powerful. 1.5 hours a day makes you feel so powerful. You can hold conversations with people about things and also stay updated on every single thing from just like one newspaper, 14 pages. So there's no need to go about on YouTube seeing your current affairs today. Read the newspaper, very good. You read Indian Express, you read the Hindu, whatever newspaper you're comfortable with. But this is one habit that I would recommend, following, inculcating in your lives. Very helpful, has helped me a lot.
Got it. So, recently, right? Recently, like a month ago or something, I was having a conversation this with one of my friends. So he said that he used to read newspapers and he stopped reading it.
Okay.
So I asked him what was the reason. So the take that he had was, it's you can buy anything on a newspaper, the front page or anything. You have a lot of ads that have come up. The newspapers have just become like books. Like now, if you see, sometimes the newspapers have so many ads during Diwali and all. It's like just ads and ads, so it's become like a book. And he's like, how do I differentiate between whether this news is true or not? And so for that, you need to do again ground research on it, because you never know whether it's a propaganda news, or because you can just pay a newspaper and they'll publish the news that you want to. So how do you see that part of the world of newspapers?
I think who will you trust then? So let's say social media. You
Hmm.
have ad campaigns running so much now, and you see
Hmm.
it so often that makes you feel like everything is bought. So there's
Yeah.
no true journalism happening. Then you go for TV. You watch TV, you watch news. You have no idea who's backing those channels up. So
Hmm.
that's again no idea. So at the end of the day, when you read news, what I try to do is, if I'm reading something about, let's say, a community that I do not have a problem with, but then there's
Hmm.
somebody who made a statement against that community,
Hmm.
why would I believe in it? Because
Hmm.
only if I'm gullible enough to believe in it. So what I'll do is I will see that whether it aligns with my principles or not. So you do not read news to influence yourself on something.
Hmm.
Read news to
Got it.
stay updated and make your own free opinions after reading both sides.
Both
And
the
if you read
sides.
the editorial, especially because I read Indian Express, I would definitely recommend. When I read the editorial, I see so many different views. I don't see one person speaking in favor of one government and the other person also speaking in favor. I would see a lot of various views and then
Hmm.
make my own opinion about it. So I read news to stay updated, not to influence myself or to go by the propaganda ki ye cheez hogi because there's somebody has put money into it. So that's one thing, you should definitely see what aligns with your own principles and not just blindly follow what somebody
Follow
said.
something.
Again,
Exactly.
it could be bought.
So yeah, that's the differentiating part, where you do some sort of a ground research on what you believe or what you want to read, and that actually helps you see both the perspectives and take a decision. So yeah, that's a good thing.
Plus at least when you read something on the newspaper, it's verified information, so the
Hmm.
credibility sort of things is also very beneficial. When I see on social media, I am just not able to believe in anything because I know that so much of it might just not be verified. Like I see, and
Hmm.
a lot of clickbait, because newspapers are also wanting to touch the algorithm and to convince the algorithm that their posts need to go viral. So for me, it's more of clickbait. On newspapers, it's more trustworthiness, it's more credibility, and you're not showing any clickbait headlines. You're showing everything
Headlines.
as it is.
Got it. Yes, that's true. That's so true. That's a good trick. The clickbait thing is a very good take on differentiating why and uh, probably why newspapers are at least right now at a bit more higher level as a source of information than the social media and apps that we use.
Yeah.
So, yeah, coming from geopolitics, I wanted to dive into history as a subject. And, like history is often provided a valuable insight on something that is into the present. So we do tend to connect to the history and say this happened that time, this happened this year, and all. So how do you connect historical events that happen to the current affairs? And what is your perspective, or the crucial for what is your perspective which is crucial for understanding the world today?
Okay, I think that to study history is also to study change, or to study history is also to deep dive into the patterns of, the patterns of past, to understand or to solve current problems. Why I mentioned this is because, let's say, like recent history, let's go like 10 years back. Odisha had a cyclone in 2013. It was horrible. But then the way Odisha dealt with that cyclone was lauded by UN, was lauded, and it was called the most disaster ready state. So this is just 10 years into history. If I go
Got
100 years back,
years
I would
into
see patterns that would tell me how to deal with problems today. So
today.
for me, when I study history, I try to see what are those takeaways that I can take, or what was, how were people living, or if that has improved today, it at least makes you feel grateful. If it has improved, it makes you feel grateful. If there's a lesson, it helps improve your life. So for both of these ways, I feel like, let's say today there's a cyclone somewhere, you can use history as a case study on knowing how you can solve it. Or if there's something where it tells you, you're studying history and you're knowing, okay, people struggled so much where we are today. Let's say when I talk about 1947, I study, and I in fact make a lot of videos on freedom fighters. So that part of history makes you feel so grateful, makes you feel so humble, and
Humble about him.
also proud that you belong to a nation जिसने जिन्होंने इतना sacrifice किया just to make you, just to make you independent, and just to have that sort of freedom जो आज है. So
Hmm.
all sorts of things वो history से आता है. At least when I study history, especially the Indian freedom movement, I always consider myself very lucky that today every breath I'm taking is a thanks to people who sacrificed their lives for it.
Hmm. That's really nice because I used to be a real good lover of history, and I tend to jump over to what happened in the past to draw conclusions to what will happen in the future and the present as well. So that relation is something which is very important. And as you said, like, yeah, you can judge or you can do development also in a state as per the history that the state has had since so many years, because you'll know the pattern, you can draw some pattern for it, and you can have a development and a moving ahead of that state in that particular moment. That's really nice. That's a good take on why history and geopolitics are hand in hand. So, Niharika, recently, I think yesterday or today morning, I don't remember, but I saw your video about government official
Yes, yes,
who
yes.
was like transferred within a month, or 3 months. He was transferred a lot of times. So, uh, considering it, all those type of videos are something that are very sensitive, and
Hmm.
to draw information on and to talk about it. So as a platform, when you have such a place to reach out to audience, and you have an impact over a wider audience, how do you find to navigate the responsibility that comes with discussing sensitive and polarizing topics, and how do you balance that informed discourse as well?
I think why I so my role models are not people who are famous. So my role
Mhm.
models are people who've earned respect over the years. which is
Hmm.
why I mention about all these honest IS officers. And
Hmm.
what I learned from them is honesty and devotion to your work. When I started, a lot of people used to ask me, "What are you, a right winger or a left winger, or are you a centrist?" And I would
Hmm.
always say, "I'm a truth winger." I know that's not a word, but again, my own thing. I am a truth
Hmm.
winger, and I would not side with an ideology only because I firmly believe in it. I would only side with a certain decision that the government takes only because if I feel that it's right. So
Got it.
I would side by truth instead of an ideology. And that's what I do when it's about sensitive topics and it's about talking about IS officers. In one video, I'm talking about this present government not doing right with the people. In other video, I'll probably question the previous government or the opposition why they're not doing right
Hmm.
with some sort of people. So for me it's not about being a leftist or a rightist. For me it's about just upholding and standing for what's right. So that's what I try to do the most. And usme bhi, when I used to talk about IS officers, or let's say I make any biography or anything, again I always try ki I align that with my principles and see kya takeaways hai, and
Hmm.
usko as it is facts के way में I present it and not include my own personal bias or my personal opinions into it, so that people are free to form their own opinions and feel whatever they want, which I feel adds to authenticity also. So makes
Got
you
it.
a better influencer, because
Hmm.
if you're an influencer आपके ऊपर एक responsibility भी है. So you're not
Exactly.
just,
Exactly.
है ना,
Yeah.
you're influencing people. That's what it
Hmm.
exactly means, the tag that you've been given. तो उस चीज में I want that to be positive influence and not to be somebody who's वो propaganda कर रही है या trying to influence us or trying to brainwash us. So I try to give facts and be as respectful as I can when it comes to sensitive topics or anything. So that works for me. Being a truth winger is, I think, what I always aim for instead of siding with an ideology.
Okay. Fair enough. Because it's nice. Like as you mentioned, like there will be people who will be using your name and telling that, okay, fine, Niharika posted this thing, so I can believe her.
Yeah,
That's sort of a trust building for an influencer is very important, and
correct.
especially in the topics that a lot of y'all are dealing with. Because if you're a fashion blogger or a travel blogger, you have the freedom of doing things in a particular way. But when
Yeah.
you're trying to educate somebody or put out some knowledge, maybe related to finance, law, government, so you need to be well informed and you need to have that knowledge. So it's good that you have a process of actually, if I may say so, like you have set the limitations or boundaries or your principles first, and the story you take it, dwell it into your principles, and then you put it ahead. So
It's
that's basically the flow that
correct.
you do.
Yeah,
So
correct. I
that's
mean I
good.
don't, हाँ, वो
Probably,
driven by algorithm नहीं होना चाहिए.
because then probably you would have something from the previous government that is aligning
Mhm.
your principles, something from the present government that is aligning your principles, something that the opposition or people in power doing it. So yeah, that's good. That's really a very good way, I would say, to do it, because that would give you a far-fetched overall view of what the world of geopolitics is.
Correct, correct.
So that's really nice. um, so recently, like there's a lot of thing, and there's a lot of Gen Z people talking about being politically aware and
Hmm.
how important it is to be politically aware. So in your opinion, why is it crucial for individuals, especially let's talk about the younger generation? Because I think the previous generation, like our father's generation, mother's generation, they are pretty much into the phase where they are politically aware of what is happening and all. They know what finances, how it works. Our generation is not, because considering the span, how things have rapidly evolved, we don't like big things to read or anything. Even the book culture has reduced a lot. So the younger generation don't actually focus on a lot of things related to politics, or I don't even know, half of them even know how important it is to vote and not vote, or all those sort of things. So to this younger generation that we are referring, how is it important for them to be, so that they can engage into discussions relating to polity or geopolitics or the current affairs that is happening?
I think it's important to know one thing, कि it's affecting you even if you don't know. So
Exactly.
now I don't remember this one quote I read in somebody's bio, and it said कि if you're not if you don't know about politics, then I mean politics is running you, like something like this, कि अगर आपको politics का नहीं पता है does not mean that politics को आपका नहीं पता. तो
Oh,
तो
deep.
हाँ, तो
That
it's
is
still
deep.
है ना, इट्स स्टिल अफेक्टिंग यू. एंड हम क्या करते हैं, द यंगर जनरेशन ऑफन व्हाट वी डू इज कि वी गो टू अ पार्क एंड से वो इट्स सो अनक्लीन, लाइक एमसी क्या कर रही है, म्यूनिसिपल काउंसिल कुछ भी नहीं कर रही है. वी गो टू द रोड्स एंड सी कि देयर आर potholes, then why is somebody not working for it. You go somewhere else, question ये क्यों नहीं हो रहा है, वो क्यों नहीं हो रहा है, but you don't know who's responsible,
For
for
that.
all of this. हाँ, so who's going to do this? And which is why I mentioned, polity again. म्युनिसिपल काउंसिल का क्या ड्यूटी है? यू गो एंड सी, सड़क क्लीन नहीं है, हाउ डू यू नो whose duty is that to clean it or to maintain the cleanliness there? Or you go
Hmm.
somewhere else, you see roads are not clean or whatever. I mean, you go whatever level you go, and you see कि क्या हो रहा है. इस वजह से if you're not aware about politics and if you're not aware about what's happening around you, especially the voting power, uh, people these days say nota is very important, we'll go vote for nota.
Hmm. Yeah.
But they make that वो conscious decision नहीं लेते हैं. Nota is not bad. Nota is a very good choice, and in fact, it's your right to choose for Nota also. But they don't know about they don't know about the candidates in the constituency. They don't know about their backgrounds. They don't research. They don't read about them. They don't hold conversations with their parents and actually see कि if you're going to vote today, who are we going to vote for, or anything, because that sort of careless attitude that it does not affect us.
That effect, exactly.
Yeah,
I think
where is
they're
the
just using Nota as a way to just move ahead in life,
escape
because
also? Hmm.
probably it could be that there is, in their particular region, there is a party who is doing really good, and you
Yeah.
could vote for them. But just because you don't have any knowledge about what is happening, you just prefer, okay, fine, I'll just put Nota.
Hmm.
But
But
yeah, that's
भी गलत नहीं है. Nota also you do, but be aware. Be aware why
exactly
you're choosing Nota. Don't
Nota.
escape your decision of and or that conscious choice to vote for somebody by voting for Nota, thinking you're doing a very cool thing. So that's
Exactly.
so that's also become, and I am very worried also about this, because when I see comments, let's say I posted this reel about criminalization of politics, and I told them exactly what is the pattern, because today you're 18 thinking it does not affect you, tomorrow you'll be 35 also, and then you'll see, okay, like it is truly affecting me in a
Hmm.
way कि मेरा इकोनॉमी कैसा रन कर रहा है, इट्स ऑल्सो अफेक्टिंग मी, मेरा सैलरी पर आ रहा है, ये चीज कैसे कर रही है, इट्स अफेक्टिंग मी. यू विल रियलाइज लेटर, and then you will be offered bribes by people coming to your house telling you vote for me or vote for, which happens,
Hmm.
at least where
Yeah,
I live
it's
होता है.
it's pretty common. It's pretty common.
It's pretty common. So you should know the pattern. Why somebody is doing it. उससे आपका क्या पड़ेगा? If let's say you accept today, ठीक है, this person is giving me 10,000 rupees to vote. How much time? 5 minutes of voting gives me 10,000 rupees, a very good deal. But how is this affecting in the long term? Because 5 years, then you will cry, because then there's no development. Somebody, a criminal, or somebody only has muscle power, one, and did not do anything for your area, then 5 years you're going to cry because of that one choice you made. So I was trying
Hmm.
to tell everybody the pattern, but I saw young people are just not interested. Like there's so much, they're into sensationalizing things, and let's say you're supporting somebody from one community only because of their
Hmm.
merit and because of their religion, but
Yep.
because they're so firm with their beliefs that they would not be open to hearing anything new or
Hmm.
hearing
Hmm.
anything logical. So that's there. In fact, it's very saddening, because I'm also like a Gen Z, and also in that age where I do not relate with them, so I feel
Them.
sad that it is going to affect them, or फिर बाद में जाके they'll realize कि the kind of choices they made.
That's true. And also, I have seen that. Good, you mentioned, and this is something that I would want to discuss in my next question as well. The regional and the religional part of it. So, or you could even say the caste, that is the caste system that we have across the politics as well. It's a very controversial topic, but to say that, like, for example, there are even people that I have seen who are politically aware,
Hmm.
and but their families believe in a particular party, or a particular party that is based out of their thinking, their ideology, or their religion. So there are two types of Gen Zs again there. One is they just go ahead with their whatever their family says, and the second is who is opposing them, and they take a stand and say, "Ki boss, this person is actually not helping us in any good. Just because he's a part of our community, that's it. But there is no specific reason to actually vote for them." And probably he might have done previously good, but this time though he's not doing anything, so we should try for something else. So have you ever met somebody like that, or come across somebody in your like vicinity, or your community, or your people, and how did you ever tackle with that, if you ever had such a situation?
So I've actually observed this when I was helping a candidate campaign in my area. So we went to a place. I saw this. जैसे Gen Zs में वो situationships नहीं होती हैं where you're not committed to somebody, but या उनको पता भी नहीं है, but you're so loyal कि वो कुछ भी करेंगे, you'll be like fine with it. तो वो बड़ा toxic चीज है उधर. Like people are loyal to the parties, their favorite parties, because उनका पता नहीं कौन से दादाज का रिलेशन था, या उनके दादाज किसी के लिए कैंपेन करते थे, नानाज कैंपेन करते थे, या कोई का कुछ कजिन्स हैं या कुछ है, वो कैंडिडेट हैं किसी पार्टी के, तो दे विल सपोर्ट इट. तो मैं उसको उसी चीज से देखती हूँ. आई थिंक पीपल हु आर एक्चुअली ओपोजिंग एंड टेलिंग देयर फैमिलीज कि ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए, या इफ दे आर एजुकेटिंग देम अबाउट समथिंग, दैट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू डू, बिकॉज आई हैव बीन ऑन इन दैट स्पॉट. तो आई नो हाउ डिफिकल्ट इट इज. बट वो पेशेंट कॉन्वर्सेशंस, डिनर टेबल कॉन्वर्सेशंस इसीलिए इंपॉर्टेंट है, बिकॉज यू हैव दोज पेशेंट कॉन्वर्सेशंस वेर यूर एक्सचेंजिंग व्यूज, even if elder people are very firm, because obviously they're in that age where a lot of experience combined with knowledge has made them firm about their beliefs. पर फिर भी those patient conversations वो बहुत important है. And that's when you navigate and see कि क्या actually सही है, कौन सी पार्टी सही है, who to vote for. तो वो दोनों ही extremes are not correct. One where a person is a rebel, and दूसरा the family saying कि नहीं ये वाला सही है, you're saying no ये वाला सही है, or other where you're blindly following what the family believes in. तो दोनों extremes है. I would always say कि maybe a middle ground where you're conversing about it. You're holding a patient conversation. उसके बाद तो everybody has their own choice. अंदर जाके EVM पे what you're clicking on, your parents don't know. है ना, वो अंदर आके they can't see. तो वो जो मर्जी करो उधर, पर conversations जरूरी हैं. Even if it's a 1 hour conversation before voting, amazing. At least one vote अच्छा जाएगा. So it does not go to waste.
Go to
So
waste.
so each vote like that, each informed vote is what contributes to a good democracy.
Hmm. True, true, true. So, building on this itself, as an influencer, right? You interact with a very big audience right now on Instagram. So, when you're addressing, or you're approaching something which is dealing with cultural or religional nuances, and discussing things related to the global issues happening. So, how do you ensure that your content actually resonates to the people with various backgrounds?
Hmm.
Also, because you don't know who's actually seeing your thing.
Yeah.
He might be of any background, but he might have got your video. So, how do you
Yeah.
keep that thing and take it ahead there?
I think it is important to ensure, number one, to ensure inclusivity, to embrace diversity, and then to
Okay.
respect individuality. So, three things I'd say very, very important. When you have respect for cultures, you do not hold those stereotypes. When I am scripting, for me, because I am aware about so many cultures, number one, awareness zaruri hai. You need to be aware about different cultures. Let's say you believe in a fact where you say, people who have spirits andar, those are evil.
Hmm.
Let's just assume you say that.
That,
It's
yeah.
wrong. This is not right.
Hmm.
Because those spirits, let's say you go to Uttarakhand, वो लोग कहेंगे आप में देवी आ गई. आप
Hmm.
बोलोगे evil spirit आ गई.
Exactly.
Two different things.
Two different perspectives.
हाँ, this statement if I make, तो वो किसी को भी offend कर देगी if I make this statement. इसीलिए important है that I do not make a statement like this which stereotypes in any way or which offends somebody's culture. क्योंकि India again, it's so diverse. हर किलोमीटर पे you'll find just another belief. So that's what I do, making myself more aware about what's around me, making myself aware about different cultures, so that I do not offend somebody and I address and respect a diverse audience who I don't even know ki kaun hone wala hai listening to me. So maybe somebody from Uttarakhand listening to me would just feel like I don't know about their culture, which is
Hmm.
such a disrespect from my side. So that's what I try to do, ki making myself aware.
That's actually a very tough thing to do. It's
I know.
it's fine to talk about it, but when I look at it, it's a very tough thing to handle that thing and go ahead and
Yeah.
keep creating such things on the later stages. So, diving into something related to the same topic but a bit deeper, I'm just going a bit into the next
Yeah.
step, which is advocacy and activism. I often think that they go hand in hand when you're discussing something related to geopolitics and current affairs. So, how do you use your platform to promote positive change? Um, because I see a lot of people doing criticism or negative things. They wouldn't say, okay, fine, if you take some piece of information uh, to give more knowledge or give a positive impact on it. There are a lot of people who do also. Like there might be some things that are not running good in this country, but they would want to give you a positive outlook about this country so that you can grow. But there might be some people who would just take that topic as a way to criticize and just spread negativity. And what issues do you feel particularly which is important for influencers to address in today's world? I know it's a big question. If you want me to cut it short, just let me know.
No, about navigating through all the noise, I'd say again, you stand for what you know, and you stand for what's right. So you uphold those principles and do whatever you want there. Ki matlab, at least it aligns with your principles. A lot of creators, when they're offered, let's say, brand collabs, so us time pe bhi, are you thinking ethically or you're going by the algorithm side of things or the business side of things? So there, it's there. But the last part of the question, where what issues should influencers take up, it depends on, like, let's say you're in the health category where you're making content, but in between, like, consciously making a choice to educate your audience about certain things. Or in my, like, I'm speaking about, in the politics field, in the education field, like I mentioned, the criminalization of politics, where I tell people, you research before voting. So not just education, but also activism in such a way that you're influencing
Hmm.
people, because now that you have the tag of an influencer, let it be a positive thing, let it be a
Influence.
positive
Yeah.
influencer. Let that aggression be positive, or let that teaching method or the education be positive, so at least you're leaving an impact, and it's not just about number of followers you have and the number of likes you have on your reels or the amount of money you earn, but it's
Hmm.
also about the amount of impact you created, or the amount of lives you touched, the amount of hearts you touched, and the amount of lives you changed. So that's there. The fact that you're an influencer comes with a lot of responsibility. So there you need to know कि यहाँ पे consciously making a choice to create positive change, और वो consciously ही होगा. It's not like it can be automatic, unless you're a social influencer where you're talking about
Got
it
it.
all. So there, a conscious choice, whether you're making tech content or whatever, just that conscious choice.
Fair enough. That's good. So, navigating to the last part, as you mentioned something relating to navigating through the noise.
Hmm.
So, to the last part of this thing, where social media sometimes can actually be a double-edged sword,
Yeah.
where it amplifies both positivity and negative narratives. So, when you're navigating through this noise and you ensure your messages should maintain some set of integrity, especially while addressing controversial topics, how do you see that part of it?
I think if it's about criticism, just like the criticism part of things, when it's positive, you enjoy it. You're like, fine, okay, I'm getting all the praises. When it's negative, I used to get very affected by it, because I am still in that age where, again, वो अभी मेरे खुद के beliefs about myself are being formed. So that negativity, whether when people tell you कि तुझे तो कुछ पता ही नहीं है, like why are you talking about this? Because this is the best defense. When somebody does not have a logical argument, तो they'll be like तुम्हें कुछ नहीं पता है. तो देयर आइड से कि वो नेगेटिविटी अब नहीं अफेक्ट करती है, again because when you know the purpose or why did you start in the first place, it's very easy to quit because you hear some trolls or you hear some noise there again, some criticism there. But the reason I started it is because my role models were people who were not famous, who were also जिनको, जैसे आई पोस्टेड दिस रील, जिनको पुल डाउन करने की बहुत कोशिश की, but they stood for what's right and did not leave that path of truth and honesty. So for me, it's just exactly that, because my role models are people who've always earned respect because of what they do, and not that did not run after fame or did not run after the money or the
Power.
every the power. They went for respect, they went for what's right, and went with their ethics and principles. That's what I try to do. So that negativity does not affect me, because
Effect.
like my strength comes from my role models, comes from my father, another role model for me. So
Got it.
I think it's आता है.
That's nice. So, my last question to you is, do you have any thing for upcoming influencers? Probably you could subject it to your category where you're educating people through your page, or else any sort of influencers. Do you have something as tips and bits that people who are listening and might be budding influencers they want to take ahead on?
I think if we go for the social media growth side of things, it has to be patient and be consistent and like keep creating. But that's something that a lot of IG coaches also will tell you. So that's not my job to do. So I'm not going to do that. My field, especially the education field, I see a lot of upcoming creators. So that one pattern कि जो चीज का trend चल रहा है, you go back to it even if you believe in it or not. Later on, it will harm you, because at one point your own conscience will tell you that you're not doing the right thing. So even if you're earning a lot of money and you have a good number to your name which says okay 1 million followers, and you're getting all praises of that sort, you will not feel the sukoon or the sort of inner peace of mind that you're doing the right thing. So never leave your principles for the algorithm or for the money that comes with being an influencer. So if you do
That's
that, you will regret it later, because I am admitting there was one video where I did not believe in it, but I made it because I was like, this will go viral. So I had to
okay.
archive it after a day, because my entire self went like, what am I doing to myself? Like, only because I know this will go viral, I posted it. It went against my beliefs. It got a lot of shares. I remember it getting 500K views in like one day. So I was good. Okay, 5 lakh views आ रहे हैं, अच्छी बात है. People share कर रहे हैं, अच्छी बात है. But am I influencing them the right way? I am actually instigating them to speak against a country or to speak against a community. Like, why am I doing that? That's not my thing to do. So there, you choose. वो दो choices आ जाती हैं. Are you choosing the virality or the algorithm, or you choosing ethics? तो उन दोनों को balance
Beautiful.
करके चलना is my aim.
Extremely beautiful. I love that answer. It was extremely nice. Fantastic insights, Niharika. We appreciate your time and the depth of your knowledge, how you deep dive into what you're creating and what you believe. To our listeners, thank you for joining us today on this episode. Remember to follow Niharika Choudhary. We'll add the link on the below ticker, and it's actually at the rate Niharika Choudhary with a triple Y in the end on Instagram. So for her constant source of informed perspectives. So thank you so much, Niharika.
Thank you. It was lovely. And I really liked how you kept cross questioning also, which kept me on my toes, but also very excited. Thank you so much.
That's so nice. So, guys, if you have enjoyed this video and found it insightful, please do hit the like button and share it with your contacts to stay updated and never miss out on our content. Subscribe to our channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you get notifications of our channel videos. And we're looking forward to seeing you in our next event. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries of your understanding. This is Anok signing off.
Thank you.